Welcome to the Pool Nation podcast, where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. We talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Now let's welcome your host, with over a decade of industry insider experience and still the reigning champion of Marco Polo, Edgar De Jesus, and his co-host, John JJ Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas.
Welcome, everyone, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. I am Edgar De Jesus, and I am the reigning champion of Marco Polo, along with John J.J. Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and the famous Zach, the Pool Boy Nicholas. Today, we have a special co-host, Megan Kendrick from Pool Pro Magazine, and we are talking to James Broderick, Aiden Dunn, and Nick LaPointe, and they are the Pool Nation Awards nominees for the 30 Under 40 Male of the Year. Want to welcome everyone to our live podcast, the podcast where it's all pool talk, and we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. And yes, we will talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. But before we get started today, I want to thank our visionary partners for this podcast, the Ultimate Pool Tools, the SPPA, Blu-ray Excel, Aquastar Pool Products, Natural Chemistry, Raypack, Heritage Pool Supply, and Hayward Pool Products. Megan, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me back on. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be doing this again.
I'm excited because it's like when we have Megan, so Megan is really a true pro at this. And I've seen her live in action, and I'm like, man, I have to sharpen my skills because she's so good at like interviewing people and asking, and kind of, she keeps that conversation going. And I'm like,
I mean, I have been doing it for 15 years. So if I'm not any good at it at this point, then I need to find something else to do.
But you're so like freaking smooth at it. You know what I mean? Like sometimes when I do it, I could tell, oh man, that was like a shift in the conversation. And you're just like, so, and I'll give you examples. Remember when we were talking to Dave Cook?
Yes.
Oh, that was, I was sitting there going, yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do that. She just nailed it. So I love having you on, Megan. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That's nice of you.
James, good morning.
Hey, what's happening?
How you doing out there?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. For those that can't watch and going to listen to this later, dude, your background is like amazing. It's like it makes me want to be out there.
I know. Beautiful North Carolina. It's 85 degrees and sunny with a little breeze in the air. So, can't beat it for sure.
Yeah. Now, is that what it's like all the time?
No, not even close. Nah. I mean, these summer days, the humidity here gets absolutely crazy. And then, you got the fall time with the foliage and falling. I mean, we get it all. We get all the seasons for sure. But, when it comes to the winter time, it's a little bit more rain and maybe some ice than it is snow. So,
yeah,
that's a plus.
Aiden and Nick are probably looking at your background going, oh, hell no. That is not going to happen.
No.
No. Aiden, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing out in beautiful San Diego?
I'm doing well. It's not quite as sunny. I'd say it's about 72, maybe. It's a little chillier actually today, but
There's a little mist in the air.
a little foggy towards the beach, but
At 72, is that what you said?
it's what I always go with. It's usually right around there.
Yeah. Megan, should we have a
Ours doesn't
conversation
change
with them?
much.
About how it was so hot this last week that like they canceled things that were outside in September. Yeah.
Yes.
Like they keep asking me, is it fall yet? Is it fall? And I'm like, I mean, next week it's technically fall, but like it's not going to get cool anytime soon.
Yeah.
So don't hold your breath, children. I'm sorry.
It's that whole fake fall thing that we have going on out here.
Yeah, not great.
So, not great. So Nick, good morning. How are you?
Morning, doing great.
I was bummed because I'm going to share the story. So I was talking to Ray, which is Nick's partner, and I was trying to get a little bit of dirt to kind of throw a curveball at Nick. And so I'm on Instagram sending a message to Ray, and Ray's all like, yeah, Nick is the one that kind of checks this social media thing. So you're not going to be, and all of a sudden Nick's like, What are you guys talking about? What is it that you're trying to find out? I'm like, well, crap, we were caught.
Got caught.
So James and Aiden, I have no dirt on Nick whatsoever, unless
Oh wow.
He does have some dirt. Yeah. He's got
uh,
some funny, embarrassing stories for sure.
well, that's what we were trying to get, but of course, you had to be checking Instagram. Thanks,
Yep.
we appreciate that. So. Anyways, so good morning, everybody. Hey, big shout out to Jeanette, which is online out here. Michael Kraus, good morning to all you guys out there. Thanks for joining and listening in. So today we're talking about the 30 under 40. Let's do what we do. Let's kind of get through some housekeeping notes because a couple of different things, right? We need to get kind of James through this. We know that he's got a crazy busy day out there. It was raining for like 4 days, so he's a little bit behind. And so we were talking about it, and James all like, "Oh, do you think the people will mind?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me? That's our crowd. Our crowd is like, let's get done, let's get out. We got pools to do. We got work. So
money to make. Let's go.
That's right. Let's go." So, anyways, everybody, take a look at our latest Pool Nation Spotlights and Insights newsletter. It is the Women's Summit, great event that we had out there. We're spotlighting about 5 amazing women that were out there at the Women's Summit. So check it out. You guys can go to poolnation.com. You'll see a button on there. You can kind of click on it. If you want to get on the newsletter, just enter your email address. You'll be able to receive it monthly. We have the new one coming out soon, which will be about what I'm going to talk about next, which is the Pool Nation Conference. And that's going to be November 9th, 10th, and 11th. And it's going to be at the PSP Expo in Dallas. And it's going to be Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And what we're doing is we're doing something a little bit different. So instead of you having the ability to go kind of pick and choose through 30 different classes, what we are doing is we are creating 4 different tracks, and we've kind of created a curriculum for each track. So for example, I'll talk really quick about the technical, and that is that, the first class that you'll be taking is really what is your responsibility as a pool pro, right? And we kind of think it's a 3-phase. And so 1 is water safety for the pool pros, more from the standpoint of protecting the bathers from bacteria and disease. So it's all focused around that water chemistry. The second part is the vessel. And so we kind of partnered with the National Plaster Council. We'll be doing some classes on startups, staining, acid washes, right? That's the second part. And then the third part of being a pool pro is really the equipment pad, right? And taking care of all the equipment and how to be able to have the best products and be able to, talk to your customers about it. And so every track that we've done, we've kind of created it in that same way. The business will be like that. The hands-on, this year, we're doing 10 different classes. We'll be doing automation. We'll be doing pumps. We'll be doing heaters. We'll be doing lighting. We'll be doing IPS controllers. We'll be doing leak detection. I mean, there's all these different classes for the hands-on. So if you want to register, go to poolnation.com. You'll be able to see the conference button there. You can see all the classes that we're going to be doing. And also you could go directly to the PSP Deck Expo website, and you could register through their website. So just to let you know, let's see here. I've already got questions jumping on over here. I'll get to that in a second, Adam. So what you're able to do, you're able to register through that. Now, what I want everybody to know is each track is limited to a certain amount of people. So an example, the technical track is about 90 people. The hands-on is a little bit more. We could do about 200 people there. The business will be 90 people. And then we also partnered with BioLab, and they're going to be doing a retail track. So they're going to be doing 1 day of 5 classes that really kind of focus on the retail, customer acquisition, marketing, merchandising, all that kind of fun stuff. So that's going to be November 9th, 10th, and 11th out in Dallas. So get out there, register, and we will see everybody out in Dallas.
Edgar, just to jump in real quick, if I may, on that.
Absolutely.
With IPSA, I'm a region director out here in San Diego, Region 7 IPSA director. And just to remind anyone that doesn't know about it or tell anybody that hasn't heard about it, the education fund is a big thing that we're trying to push this year. Up to $500 per member per year can go to any sort of educational trainings, classes, basically all of what you just explained right there. It's a great fund. We've got a lot of money in the bank set aside just for that, for members and non-members to utilize and take advantage of educating themselves and furthering their business and the industry as a whole.
What was amazing of that to me is that education fund is not just IPSA members. And I think that's probably one of the things that people think the most, that you have to be an IPSA member. And I think this is a phenomenal thing that IPSA does, because it's about bettering the industry, right? And it doesn't matter if you're an IPSA member or not. Really, their true passion is to be able to educate and better the industry. So yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great program. I think we need to share more about it, talk more about it. So Aiden, let's get together and we'll do a couple things to kind of promote that a little bit better. So
definitely. I was recently appointed the marketing and outreach chair as well. So I'm happy to meet up.
What did they promote? What is
the marketing and outreach committee chair? So that all kind of ties in as well.
What I'm going to ask you shortly here in a little bit is, how do you find time to do all this stuff that you do, my friend? Because you're involved in so many freaking things.
That's a question I'm searching for the answer for as well. I'm not sure.
All right, we'll talk about that. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is, after the PSP Expo, after the Pool Nation Conference, we're going to be doing the Heritage Pool Pro Appreciation event. And this event is going to be a little bit different, because what we are going to do is we are going to have vendors there. But what we did is we kind of reached out to our vendors and said, hey, we want to do something a little bit different. We don't want to do a tabletop. We really want to have you there, but we want you to bring your products. We really want pool pros to be able to touch, program, right? Be able to do. And so what we did is we partnered with all of our amazing partners. Like Raypack will have heaters there that you'll be able to tear apart right there on the floor. Aquastar will have their products. We'll have Hasa. We've got so many different vendors out there with all of their different products. Lamont will be out there. We've got BioLab, just so many people out there. And then the other thing that we're doing, which is new, and we kind of tailored it around the Apple Bar concept, right? So if you're an Apple user and you have a problem with your phone, you go into the store, you take your phone, you sit down at the bar and you say, hey, here's my problem. And they walk you through how to solve that. So we decided to do the kind of like the Pool Nation bar, and that is from the business aspect. And so what's going to happen is we're going to have a section where we're going to have 16 different stations. And what we want the pool pros to be able to do is, if you want to talk about scaling, or you want to talk about marketing, or you want to talk about branding, or you want to talk about hiring, firing, whatever it is, there's going to be 16 different stations there where people can go up, they can sit, and they can chat with all these amazing people to kind of get their business questions answered and be able to kind of connect with some of these other people. And the last thing is, obviously, the Pool Nation Awards. So congratulations to all three of you. You've been nominated for 30 under 40. Excited to see you guys nominated on there. And that's going to be November 13th from 6 to 9 at the Dallas Convention Center. And then from there, we will go over to the historic downtown Union Station. And we're going to be doing a 20s and 30s Gatsby jazz theme. We're going to have a live jazz band. We're going to have a cigar room, guys. So I think the look should be, right, holding the award on one side and a cigar on the other hand. Is that what? I have a feeling that's going to be the most sought after picture.
I was going to say the photo op kind of like sets itself up, right?
It sets itself up. And then rumors is that a lot of people are kind of dressing up for that, Megan.
Yeah, I definitely. Okay, so I've bought many dresses already for the event, but the one I decided on is the one that fits the 20s theme. So very excited about that. I just ordered my third pair of shoes. So we're still working on the shoe part of it, but we're getting closer to having this thing wrapped up and ready to go. It's like a year-long process. You guys, you don't understand how like ridiculous I am about this.
Yeah, I was telling everybody, I confess, I bought 4 jackets this year. I went a little bit crazy, but anyways. So yes, and that will be from 10 to 1 o'clock, and that will be Hasa again hosting the Pool Nation Awards after party. So we're excited about that. Aiden was there last year, celebrated. Aiden won Pool Guy of the Year last year at the Pool Nation Awards. So we'll kind of talk about that as well. So anyways, if you want to get tickets for the awards, you can go through the PSP Expo site, or you could go to poolnationawards.com. The last thing that I'm going to talk about is that if you are going to rent a tux, you could go to the Men's Warehouse. And on the Pool Nation Insights newsletter, there's a promo code that the Men's Warehouse gave us, and they give us $60 off tuxedo rentals. And what you can do is you can go wherever you live, get yourself measured. They will ship the tuxedo to the closest Men's Warehouse to the convention center. When you arrive in Dallas, you go pick it up. You kind of want to do it at least one day in advance to make sure that it fits properly. And then you could use it and then just return it there, and you don't have to travel with it. And if you're deciding not to wear a tuxedo and you're going to wear a suit, then what I recommend, and here's the shameless plug, right, Megan?
The shameless plug. Yeah, for JCPenney, do it.
Yes, absolutely. So JCPenney this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, has all suits for $125. So it doesn't matter what suit they have on the floor, it's $125 for a 3-piece suit. So if you decide to go that route, I suggest you kind of go that route right there. So
we're definitely doing some shopping this weekend for sure. Yeah.
So, and Aaron's coming, right?
So
come on, he's been a staple of every one of them.
It's been a busy week at our house because he started a new job this week. So that's very exciting. However, new job, I'm not sure they're going to be thrilled that he's like, hey, I'm going to take 3 months off, or 3 months, 3 weeks. 3 weeks, guys, 3 days off with my wife in Dallas. So I don't know. He's trying to figure out how he can make it work, but I'm trying to talk my sister into coming. Just because the reason I love having Aaron at the show with me is that he can bring me my coffee while I'm getting ready in the morning. And I can ask him to do things that I wouldn't feel comfortable asking my team to do. Like, hey, will you get my coffee? Or, hey, I forgot this in our room. Could you go get it? So if he can't make it, I might bring my sister instead. So you might get a new flavor this year.
No, that's awesome. But just let Aaron know that he's been there every single year since this started. So that's kind of important to us, right? To be able to look
he really wants to come, and I would love for him to be there. So we'll see. Okay. We'll see. But you guys all just need to call his boss and tell him he needs to come. I'm sure
let's do this. Let's write him a letter. We'll get a whole bunch of people to sign it, and then we'll post the boss's phone number all over social media, and we'll just have everybody call. Right?
Yeah, he'll be fired in a couple of weeks. It'll be great. My family would really appreciate that.
No problem. Hey, I want to give a couple shout outs here really quick before we get started. We're going to start here with James, but Abby Michelle, shout out to JB Pools Care. Go James.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're starting right off the bat. Boom.
Hey, got a big fan base. What can I say?
Okay.
So I have to say though, I have never had so many customers write in as they did for James and say, hey, you really have to consider this dude because he's amazing. So we did, I will say we did change up the way we did things a little bit this year. So once you were nominated, you couldn't be nominated twice, but we put an email up there. It's like, hey, if you want to weigh in on someone who's already been nominated, just shoot us an email. And we had a ton of his customers reach out and say, what a great job he does and how much they love him. And I've never seen anything like it. For a couple of days there, it was like a deluge of all of his customers. It was amazing.
Yeah, my people, they really are. They're phenomenal. They're a lot of them are very much like family. So, when I found out, I was so overwhelmed with love and appreciation and gratitude. These people, when I first started this whole journey, it was very much just on a limb, and here I am 5-6 years later now, and got people I've watched little kids now grow up and babies, and life actually move on with some of these people. So it's been definitely a blessing for sure.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome.
Yeah,
and here's the other thing that we were talking about, and this is very impressive. So obviously James jumped on, and I'm like, bro, that's a nice background you got going on. It's all kind of green and stuff like that. So share that part.
Yeah, right now I'm working. So we've had some pretty bad rain. We've had a little bit of a tail end of they call it tropical cyclone come through to us. So it's dumped probably about 5-6 inches of rain over the last 4 days, and it's just been pouring the rain. So it's kind of been putting me on the shelf. I'm a little bit in that time where it's closing time for what I do. So, got to get out here and get it done because they rely on me. So, I'm a one-man show, so I don't really work with a team. The team that I have, when we call it JBs, it's James Broderick and Jennifer Broderick, who's my wife. So, she does a lot of the billing, and I tell everybody she's the brain, I'm the brawn. So, I'm 6'5", 300 pounds, and I just go out there and work like a horse. So.
That's so funny. We see this. We see the same thing at our house, except it's like he's the power team and I'm the finesse team.
Oh, there you go. That's a nice way to say it. Sometimes I feel like the brain part is like, it's like I'm not capable. I'm very capable. It's just,
right. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. You need the finesse.
Yeah. Facts. Yeah. Being as big as I am, finesse comes a little more difficult than my wife. So
same in our house for sure. Yeah.
So James, let's do a little bit of a deep dive. Tell us a little bit about how you got into the industry, how many pools you do, where you're located.
Yeah. So location wise, I'm located in I tell everybody Wake Forest, North Carolina. Most people know Raleigh, North Carolina at this point, but right outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. I've been doing this for, like I said, roughly, this is year 5 going on year 6. So, I originally started this off during the pandemic. I used to be a swim instructor, a general manager at a swim school called Goldfish Swim School. We taught kids from 4 months old all the way to 14 years old how to swim. So that's kind of where I fell in love with learning about pools and automatronics and salt cells and all the chemistry and all the things that kind of came with it. So that's where I first started off, like learning all the basics of everything. Unfortunately, when the pandemic hit, our business was not considered an essential business at that time. So I didn't really have much to do for quite some time. We were on the later cycle of people to open. And at that point, I had a couple of local friends that were like, "Hey man, you take care of a pool, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, an indoor pool." And they're like, "Well, can you help me with my pool? Like my pool's turning green. I don't know what to do." I was like, "I can't get service people to come out here." And I was like, "Yeah, like I'll come out there. Like you just keep your distance. We do all the things we need to do to make sure everything stays safe. Let me come out, do my work. And then once my work's done, I'll leave and everyone's gone." And, and that's just kind of how it started. And then from that, it's just been a lot of word of mouth. I'm proud to say I've never spent that $1 on any marketing for my business. Everything's just come through referrals and good, holding myself with integrity and having compassion for the people that I'm working for and building trust with people. That's kind of my motto within the business. And so now here I am. I do roughly about 7 pools a day when it comes to this time of year. So I could be running 6 days a week, depending if I got random clients with pump issues, salt cell issues, filters needing to be changed. I do liners. I installed above ground pools. I've kind of done a little. I'm a jack of many trades, but a master of none, if you want to say the most. So certain things I stay out of I stay within my lane and stay in my space, especially when it comes to a lot of the more powerful electricity and things like that. I know that kind of maybe sounds silly that I'm a pool guy that doesn't mess with the electricity, but until I can feel comfortable within that side, I stay away. But for the most part, services is what I do. And, coming out here, turning green to clean is a lot of what I do. And, coming out and just, like I said, building relationships with a lot of these people, a lot of the people that I work for, they need my help more than want my help. So, I have some sweet little old ladies that unfortunately husbands have passed and, other scenarios like that, that just, lead me to doing what I do. So it's pretty much that simple.
James was one of our green to cleans of the month, by the way.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which was really cool. And if you guys don't know that we do that, like we kind of have this social media contest every month where if you tag us on your green to cleans, you could be our green to clean of the month. And this year we're going to do a green to clean of the year. So, ooh. I mean, we're getting up there. It's like turning into a real competition.
Yeah, that's my big, that's one of my big things is really helping a lot of the people with the pool chemistry and turning those pools green from green to clean. Because most people, when, unfortunately, when a lot of guys get these pools, they just kind of drop the pools in. And this is some companies that I deal with, at least, don't really tell people what it means to shock your pool or how to shock your pool or the other chemicals that need to go in just to balance out that shock to make sure it's the most active it can be. So, I like to do what I like to call a pool school. And so I educate a lot of my customers on top of just doing services. Like I'll come and it's actually a service. I'll come for 2 hours and I'll sit with you and I'll tell you how everything works all the way from how you vacuum your pool, what the maintenance routine wants to look like. This is for a lot of people that don't want an everyday bi-weekly service or weekly service. You just have that ability to go out there and talk to them. Most of my weekly and bi-weeklies, I talk to them every week or bi-weekly. So, we exchange information back and forth. But that's, especially for my realm, that's the pool education to a lot of these people that get these fancy, in some of the areas I'm talking $1 million pools in some of these areas. So, they get left with all this and never told what to do with it afterwards. So, I like to kind of think I'm like a knight in shining armor that comes in and saves the day some days. So
that's not surprising, but it's also wild that like you have a luxury pool built in your backyard, and then they're just like, peace, good luck.
Pretty much. And around here, especially where we are, it's, do you want a sand filter? Do you want a cartridge filter? Do you want a DE filter? Is salt the best? Is chlorine the best? And those words and most of that stuff is so foreign to people when they especially first time pool owners. Like, it's definitely there's a gap from that pool building to where I'm at and what I do for the customers. And, to what you were saying before with all my customers, I think that's one of the reasons why I have the rapport and, the outpour have come from my people, at least, might not get a lot of votes outside, maybe not in San Diego, power to you guys, but, out here in North Carolina, over in the Triangle area, I got a good plethora of people that, that I help, and they help me, I guess, so they appreciate what I do. So,
yeah. You think about like just in our industry, I've been doing this for 15 years, and obviously I'm not working on pools every day, but I learn something new all the time that I didn't know. I can't imagine what it would be like for a homeowner who's not talking to people about pools every single day to have any idea what to do, especially when something goes wrong, and it's crazy, like walking into the backyard of friends' pools or acquaintances and looking at stuff and being like, oh boy, like you do not know what you're doing. Like this is a mess. It's crazy.
One of the customers I went to this morning, he somehow, I don't know, it's the first time I ever met the guy and first time I ever went, it was kind of a newer pool, and I'm looking at it and, a lot of the valves aren't turning off and shutting off where it should. And then he's got a salt cell connected to a chlorinator. So I don't know. There's just so many questions on why certain things get done a certain way, and he doesn't know, so education of a homeowner is just as important as educating the people and the pool professionals. I think there's a little niche inside of there where that education is not being something that's utilized in many spaces.
For sure. Yeah, and it's cool that you do the pool school. A lot of like pool retailers will do that for their customers, and they kind of have everybody come in for a training like at the beginning of the season or something. But yeah, how much more beneficial to have the person like actually in their backyard and be like, when I say valve, this is what I mean. Because like you're sitting in a classroom and not looking at it, you think you get it, and then you go and you look out into your pool and you're like, okay, I don't know, I can't translate what they said to what I'm looking at right now.
And most of the time when I find that too, like these guys, like, it's just like the guy came in, talked so fast, said a bunch of words. I don't really like, what is alkalinity? What does that even mean? And these words just come by so quick that, they don't know what's going on. They feel lost and they feel helpless. And especially when you see that huge investment go green, or you got 3 kids that are itching to get in that pool and it's green, like that just puts a lot of stress.
Or 3 kids who are itching because of that pool.
Facts, the pH is off. Yeah, all of that kind of stuff, and a lot of them, they don't realize the importance of it. So, it's definitely been one program that I've introduced over the last couple of years that is, I genuinely believe that it helps me to have them know what they're doing. Like, to know what they're looking at, to know that this is what happens when it's a green pool. Like for here, like when it rains, that pH like takes off, and, then you're adding whatever you may be adding. For me, a lot of times it's muriatic acid, diluted inside a bucket. But, for them, they don't really understand like what needs to be done or why is this happening? Like they just see the problem. They don't know the solution. So I'm a big proponent of teamwork makes the dream work. And the more I can educate them, the more it can, benefit me. So, and as selfish as that may sound, it's kind of a benefit thing for everyone, right? Like,
well, and I think that when you educate the customer, you create so much credibility and respect from the standpoint of the customer, rather than showing up and going, oh, let me do it, and you do it and you're done, right? When you take the time to educate and explain that to the customer, it shows them that you're very knowledgeable in what you're doing, right? And there's, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that just kind of go out there and do stuff and they leave. They don't have the communication with the customer. They're more worried about getting to the next pool. I don't have time to talk, right? But you build that relationship, you educate them, and then what you get is exactly what you have, is you have customers that are now emailing Megan going, this guy needs to be nominated for the 30 under 40, right? Which I want you to think about that for a second, right? Tell me somebody that services anything that you do that you've kind of reached out and said, hey, this guy needs to be nominated for this or that, right? You create that.
It gives me chills just like you saying that, like gives me chills just thinking that, because
you think about it. And then the reality of it is people like to do business with friends or people that they know. And so when you build that relationship, you're in a great situation that if something goes wrong, they're not going to call you and go, someone, they're going to be like, hey, Jake, James, we had a problem. And so can you come and check it out? And they're not going to be, upset about it. Rather than if you take the approach of showing up, dropping chems, leaving, something goes wrong, they're going to call you and yell at you. And,
And that's where a lot of, like I said before, my business really sits on the motto of the one I learned it from the swim school, but it's very true to what we do as service people is the integrity, the compassion, and trust. You hold yourself with integrity. You do what you say what you do. You show the customer compassion and that they maybe will be less educated as yourself. And ultimately, that's what builds the trust of the relationship. And then once you have the trust, they know your integrity is strong. They know you're a compassionate person, and the relationship just builds and builds and builds. So it's something that I've taken from the swim school to what I've kind of adopted into my business now. And, even if it means that, my pools in the beginning, there was times there was like, oh my God, water's full. 4 a.m. and for some reason someone sees it and I'm on my way. There's integrity to that, just showing up and giving the people the peace of mind. It sometimes kind of kicks me in the tail, but being my own business owner, it's like I said, it's why I haven't spent $1 on marketing. It's why I don't have to advertise. I literally go out there and, I just do what I say and say what I do. That's pretty much that simple.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. That's the name of the game,
Thanks.
So
that pool school thing that's awesome, James.
Yeah, thanks, man.
You said how surprising.
That's why I like hearing, especially from your side, hearing about, the education and what you're trying to do. Like, there's a lot of education needs to be had. I think sometimes even from a pool professional standpoint to other pool professionals, just letting them know that the people that we're dealing with are not us. Like I try to, my dad has a pool and he helps me every now and then. And I still try to talk to him about certain things. Like, I don't know what you're doing, like just kind of giving me the whole thing. It's like, you just do it. It's like, you'll never learn, Dad. But, at the end of the day, he's 65 and I guess you can't teach old dogs new tricks. So.
Yeah, as surprising as it is when someone builds a pool and their builder does not give them all the info that they need, it's becoming less surprising lately. It's crazy how much I hear that their builders just finished up and kind of walked away. Some of them give you a little packet and send you on your way and say good luck. But I've got a pool a couple weeks ago and it had been sitting there for 7 weeks. I think no one had touched it since the day they filled it. It's like, really?
And then if it's a concrete pool, just like think what that water's doing and how it's trying to pull the calcium out. Like there's just so many things that can come from these spaces that when when they're spending that much money and you're giving them that kind of information after, like I give them I give a little booklet, talks about like what it means to backwash your system. If you have a backwash, cartridge filters, your chemical balancing, where you want to be. Like I did all that on my own, so it's a big thing. And I think a lot of people in the pool industry can, maybe learn something from that in the sense of educating your customers. It doesn't just help the customer, it helps you in the long run. So, keep educating them, man, because that's awesome to hear, especially from your side,
Yeah, that's
Definitely.
great. So I know that, James, that you obviously need to get back to work. So
yeah, I do.
I really want to thank you for taking the time, because I know how hectic it is and I know how hard it is to kind of be able to take a couple hours off. And for those that are listening, we were actually sitting probably 30, 40 minutes before the podcast even started, just kind of chit chatting and stuff like that. So we've been for a while. So I appreciate it. I am looking forward to meeting you in person.
Absolutely.
So you're coming down, the wife coming down?
Yeah, I'm coming down. The wife's coming down. I think the whole fam might be coming down, to be honest with you, for the awards. I mean, I got my mom and dad might come, my mother-in-law might come. So I don't know. We're all pretty stoked. This was something that I, once again, never thought I'd be in this situation talking to you guys. I mean, I read the magazine, I listen to the podcast. Like, I'm atypical pool guy. Look, I can't even keep my earbuds in my ear. Like, I'm an average Joe that's looking forward. And like I said, very humble to be here and to, have this experience and learn from people and get to meet a lot of pool professionals and be at the conferences and learn more. And education and knowledge is power, right? So just keep on, learning and doing our best. So absolutely. I appreciate y'all having me though.
Thank you. Looking forward to meeting you, the family, if they come down, which by the way, Megan, like my nieces from Puerto Rico called me and they're like, they want to come down. So I think we're just going to bring the whole family. My girls are going to school now. They're like, we want to go. And I'm like, oh, let's go. Let's just bring everybody. So
I was really hoping that I could bring my kids this year, not to the awards because they're a little too young for that, but I thought it'd be fun to bring them to the show, but I don't think it's going to work out. Unfortunately, I thought they would be like a really great sales tool at in the booth. Like, don't you think people would stop? It
humanizes you.
Kids handing out magazines.
100%.
But
make you a person, not just a name or a figure.
Yeah.
Maybe
we need to put them on the cover with some nets. We'll take them down to Aiden's place and put them to work, right, Aiden? And put them in uniforms and Nick. And we'll, what we should do, Megan? I have an idea.
Okay, I'm ready.
We'll have one of them work for Nick, one of them work for Aiden, and then there'll be two competing right there. And we'll have them in uniforms with nets and poles, and then we can put them on the cover.
There we go.
I mean, that would be really cute, but I'm not sure that Nick and Aiden would get anything accomplished that day. So, and it would probably be, they would definitely screw something up.
Yeah. Hey, they're learning. They're new employees, So, anyways, cool. James, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Have a good one. We'll see you out in Dallas. All right.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Take care.
Okay, so I have to tell you this story because you're talking about educating people. My friend had a birthday party a couple weeks ago, and she had everybody give a presentation on a topic for fun. And it was really fun to hear people's random topics, like on conspiracy theories and what the random job that they do for a living. I gave mine on the 5 myths of chlorine. And it was really fun. And they were like, their jaws were like on the floor. They're like, I did not know these things. And it's, it was, so I'm doing my part to educate the public out there about taking care of pools.
So guys, I have another idea. Let's put Megan to teach some water chemistry classes.
Ooh, I don't think we don't want to go quite that far. I'm good until somebody asks a question, and then it's like, let's get a real expert up here.
Tell them no questions allowed.
No questions allowed. I got to go through my presentation, and that's it.
Oh, that's funny. So, hey, big shout out to Abby, Michelle out there. So nice listening. Have a great day. You too as well. Eric, good morning to you. Maria, good morning. And then Adam Gunther was reminding me that, yes, Poolside Tech, the attendant, will be out in full force at the PSP Expo. They're going to be doing some of the training. They're actually going to be doing a automation training. And by the way, guys, this year, our automation class they're going to be hooking up lights. They're going to have the heater simulators. They're going to have pumps. It's going to be a full integrated automation class, actuators. So it's not just wiring the automation, but they're going to be able to connect all these other things to that. And then yesterday we had a great time with all of them kind of planning a pad class, right? We just kind of wanted to do a class on the entire pad. So anyways, thank you for that, Adam. And then Adam is also saying, Edgar, do you know the cost for the dealers to come to the Pool Nation conference? I asked Zach, but he's going to his Naked and Afraid filming. So you guys don't know, but Zach once a year goes with his dad is a huge mountain guy. And when I tell you huge mountain guy, it's like no electricity. Like they go deep into the woods, like chasing elk with bows and arrows and all that kind of stuff, mountain men kind of stuff. So me and John tease him that he's going to film Naked and Afraid out into the mountains. So I think he just came out of the woods yesterday. Like we didn't hear from him for like a week. And all of a sudden we get these pictures of him and just like all this camo. He looked like the Duck Dynasty guy with the big, huge beard and all bow and arrow in his hand. So, anyways, big shout out to them as well.
Nice.
So, Mr. Aiden.
Yes, sir.
Let's listen to your story because I'm going to do a little bit of an intro. But last year you won Pool Guy of the Year. You took the IPSA, and what was the IPSA award?
Sorry about that. That was the chime I was telling you about. It was the Pool Pro of Tomorrow.
Pool Pro of Tomorrow. So you took two big, huge awards back to back last year.
It was a good couple of months there. Yeah, had a nice little run.
Yeah.
Became director of my region of IPSA right before in November, I guess. It was a couple of days before the Pool Nation Awards. We were already out there for the board meeting, and then that kind of led into the rest of it.
So you got the director position first, and then right after that you won the IPSA. And then right after that, you won the Pool Nation Pool Guy of the Year?
So IPSA was out. The director position was in Vegas at our meeting. So a couple of days before Pool Nation. And then a month or so after that was the IPSA award show.
Dang, that really was a couple good months out there.
It was not bad. Yeah.
Not bad.
Traveled around quite a bit and had some fun. Got some recognition, which was nice. Humbling as always, but it's fun.
That is awesome. And I was going to ask you because I had seen that Brianna was kind of quiet, right? And I'm like, where's Brianna? Because Brianna's a big cheerleader, right? And that's what I love about her. And then here she is. So big shout out to you, Brianna, out there. Thanks for jumping on. I saw your posts on social media as well. So big shout out. So Aiden, let's tell everybody about your story.
So similar. Well, my story, I guess similar to JB's in the sense that I've been doing this a long time. But basically since I was born, my dad started my business, I guess now, back in 1989. So he started out just with 40, 50 pools or so. Was a one-man show for about 20 years or so. Had a couple employees on and off here and there. And then I ended up moving away, told myself I never wanted to be a pool guy growing up. And moved away for a while, kind of saw what the pool industry had to offer, moved back and bought the business from him and basically took off from there. Started hiring people, growing a little faster probably than we should have at first, toned it back a little bit, and then stayed pretty steady. And we're kind of in a bit of a transitional period again right now, but just been, going strong for 7-8 years now, I would say. I can't keep track of the time. It seems to go by quick.
That's such a common thing that we hear from people, like when we're going through all of the 30 under 40 entries is, I was in a it was a family business. And as a kid, I wanted nothing to do with it. But no, here I am now. So I'm curious, Aiden, what was it about the industry that made you be like, I don't want to do that? And then why do you think you changed your tune eventually?
So the reason why I didn't, I would say there probably was not any real reason. Just growing up in the back every day after school, going out doing pools with my dad, I said, I always want to do something different. And there was never any good reason behind it. Just wanted to do something else. But I moved to Utah, lived in the mountains for 7 years or so after high school, kind of just seeing what the pool industry had to offer back here in San Diego. I mean, it's such a great place to do pools. There's no closing season. It's year-round. There's no shortage of pools, that's for sure. I've been building them like crazy since the beginning of COVID, and just seeing what could be done and what you could achieve we do a lot. There's a lot that goes into the pool, taking care of a pool, obviously. But when it comes to a labor type service job, it's not as difficult as a lot of other ones, and it's not as, it's very complex, but it's not as repetitive as some could be, I guess. You're in the same yard every week, but there's always something new. There's always new stuff to learn. It's just ever changing and ever evolving, but at the same time, it's a stagnant kind of growth, and not stagnant growth, but it's a continual growth that keep things fresh, I guess, is a good way to put it.
I think it's pretty normal. Or pretty human, I guess, when you're young to want to go kind of forge your own path, for sure. But I also think that like when you grow up in a family business, kids, you don't really know how good you've got it either. I think you kind of, I mean, like you don't, when you're a kid, like you're pretty self-absorbed and you don't really like understand or care what your parents are doing to like make a living and take care of you and all of that. And you kind of only see the negative things about it. Yeah. And then you become an adult and you're like, oh, I get it now. That was actually pretty great. And I should look at that. I should look at that again.
Just the fact alone that he could come pick me up from school, take a break from his day of work and pick me up and go back out and finish off the day is a blessing in its own. Just the flexibility you have.
Man, that was really one of the reasons why that when I looked and I left hotels, that was one of the biggest things is I wanted to be able to just be able to pick up my kids every day and spend time, because the previous years I just wasn't able to do that at all. I was traveling all the time. I spent zero time with them. And it was kind of a nice change. And it was exactly like that, Aiden. I'd be done before I needed to pick them up at 2:30. Right. And it was just, being able to spend that time with it, and it's invaluable. Right. Now I look and I've shared, right. My youngest daughter just went to Arizona State, and talk about dropping off your kid and, leaving. It's tough, but I can at least look back and go, at least I didn't spend my entire lifetime, not being able to be there. So that's awesome. Now, how many pools are you up to? And I remember us having conversations 4 years ago when Pool Nation started, right? We were a baby, but we kind of had conversations. You were president of IPSA for your chapter and stuff like that. How many pools are you up to? And then what else do you guys do? Because I think you guys do a couple other things too, right?
So we're service, maintenance, repair only, and we don't do any building. Everything after the pool is built, basically. All equipment setup, equipment installations, that sort of thing, and then obviously the weekly service. But we're sitting around 340, 350. We hit 399 was our peak, and then that's kind of when we trimmed the fat, if you will, but just dialed it down a little bit and put a pause on the growth and taking on new clients for a while. And I reassessed the ones that were causing us more harm than good. But yeah, it's been.
And I think that's really important. And I think I'm going to say most, I'm not going to say everybody, but I think most people go through that. And that's a normal thing of business, right? Is you continue to grow. But every so often, Aiden, you have to stop. You have to, look at all your customers. You kind of have to look at, within what boundaries you want to stay. And you have to kind of cut that. And like you said, cut that fat so that you could be leaner, so that and then kind of continue that growth again.
Yeah. I mean, employment as well. I mean, it's so it can change on such a dime. I mean, if you lose a couple of guys, that just throws everyone for a loop. So just making sure you've got the right staffing in place for the right amount of clients. So service doesn't fall off if something happens with employment, or if you're overworking your guys because you don't know that 20 of the pools out there are just, they pull in the driveway and they're upset every week they pull up hating that they have to be at this pool. Like just getting a grasp on both ends of it. Basically eliminating all the hard parts, the hardships of it.
Yeah, we talk about it, and it's like one of the most powerful things that you could do is, and Mike from Mike's Pool does this, and I love it. And so when it comes time, and every so often he reassesses, right? Every so often he's like, it's just a natural part of business. Every so often I'm going to sit there, I'm going to reevaluate, and I'm going to get rid of pools. Like it's a given. What I love that he does is he goes to each one of his employees and tells them, give me the 5 pools that you hate the most. Give me your 5 worst pools. And then what he does is he goes and he sits on the drawing board, and those are mostly the pools that he gets rid of, right? He goes, look, they're going to give me the best feedback that they're spending too much time. There's too much trees. There's too much. But then his biggest thing is think about the impact that has on motivation on that employee for Aiden to kind of show up and go, Edgar, what pools do you hate? Oh, I hate, the one on Lemon Street and the one on Apple Street. And you're like, done, they're out of here. Like, that's going to motivate me. And sometimes we forget about that as business owners, right? We're just kind of like, oh, just get out there. I pay you to do the work. Just get out there. Just clean the pool. It's not that big of a deal. But like you're saying, Aiden, they pull into the parking lot, into the driveway, and it's like they're just hating that aspect of it.
Yeah, I think I remember John said it first. The first time I heard it was at the Western, at one of your guys' classes. He went over his bottom 10, and I took that one to heart. Because yeah, I mean, you end up, I mean, obviously the motivation on the employee side is big there, but then as you go in and start digging through those clients, you realize that they are costing you the most money. They are taking the most time. They're using the most chemicals or whatever the case may be. And having as many pools as we do, it's hard to keep track of each one every week and see exactly where time and money is being spent. So if you have the guys give you those bottom 5, there's a good chance that a few of those are going to be costly 5 as well, if you really dig into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can be hard as a business owner to like be okay with not with letting go of any kind of income, right? Like there's always kind of that like fear in the back of your mind, like, well, if we lose this customer, like I can't get rid of a customer because what if we don't ever have any customers again and we need them, It's kind of hard to let go of that part of it too. But you mentioned that you grew too fast. How did you realize that you were growing too fast, and how did you fix that? Because I think that kind of goes in with that hand in hand too. Like when you're building a business, like you want new customers, you need to grow that revenue, you need to keep going, and yeah, you get to a point where you're like, oh, I think I might have bitten off more than I could chew.
It was the beginning of COVID is kind of where it all started, just with how many pools were being built out here in San Diego. We were taking on clients left and right. I mean, I acquired a route, and then I was getting 3-4 calls a day probably for service, and bidding them high and making sure that they were what we wanted, but still taking on more than we should have. And then we had to fire one employee for some reasons, and one other guy left, and that's when it all kind of hit. That we definitely didn't staff accordingly. After that, we ended up hiring quicker than we wanted to. Also, we weren't taking the time to really weed out the applicants and make sure they were the right fit for the team. We just needed to fill space, basically. We needed to fill shoes to get these pools done, because we had so many at that point. And then that ended up kind of turning on us as well, realizing after the fact that we should have just making a quick move to hire someone to ensure a pool is done without making sure that employee is going to be a right fit for the company is kind of what the big turning point was, or the big eye opener.
Yeah.
And then losing that person, then having to spread everybody around through the rest of the guys and overwork them, and it just kind of changes the morale of everybody for a little bit until you rehire the right way and settle things back down.
Yeah.
But that's the chaos of business, though, right? Like that's, and that happens, by the way, Aiden, to everybody, right? It just happens to me. It happens to, all businesses will go through that cycle, because sometimes you're in their shoes, man. And the worst thing about pool pros is, man, if you own a convenience store and somebody calls in, you could just kind of go stand in, right? And just kind of fill in, and that's it. And the customers show up. But we know for pools are going to turn green. You can't skip a week in the middle of summer, right? That's not an option, right? So it's a lot more difficult, and it's a lot more stressful, right? There's a lot more sleepless nights knowing, what am I going to do with those pools?
I got a text on my birthday. I was out in Denver on the 26th of June, week before the 4th of July, from an employee that said, "Truck's in the driveway. Today's my last day. Wish you the best," kind of thing. It's like, oh, wonderful. Just what I wanted to hear right now.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
So caught home.
I was saving this birthday present for you. Happy birthday. Right.
Exactly.
So no, yeah, that's definitely tough, but it's part of the whole, business cycle, right? And I don't know for you guys, but obviously COVID was rough finding people, right? You had the great resignation. Everybody just kept job hopping and kept going here and kept going there. And I think, thank God that those times have slowed down, and I think they're going to slow down even more. But it was a scary time, because it's like your business is booming at the best. You want to explode, you want to grow, but yet you have all these other things that are pulling you down really hard, right? Those are, you want to grow, you don't have employees to service pools. It's like you can't grow.
It gave me a lot of practice of reading applications and interviewing people, and then you never hear from them again. There's a lot of that. Applicants coming in, but just no follow throughs.
Yeah, it's funny because one of the most amazing things that I ever learned was through that interviewer process. And then there's a way to interview, right? And there's a way to really figure out, and it's really that behavioral base, right? History is going to repeat itself, right? So if you're able to grab that application and you're able to dissect it and look at people's history and are able to ask questions like that, you really get to the bottom of it, right? And so, I used to sit there and ask a lot of hypothetical questions, right? Well, how would you handle a great customer, right? And they'd be like, oh, well, I would do this. Ah, great, you're hired. And then the reality of it is they sucked at it, right? But it was more of like, why don't you tell me of a time that you dealt with a difficult customer and how did you handle that? And I don't know about you guys, but you'd be surprised. Like, I had people sitting across from me and they're like, oh, I was dealing with this customer and he was just upsetting me so much that I just told him F you and leave. And I'm just like, whoa, like, I can't believe that person is sitting in an interview and saying that. Right. But looking at that behavioral base and give me real life examples really gets you to weed through a lot of people.
Yeah, we hired a young kid, didn't have much life or work experience, I guess, but it was kind of tell us about a difficult time in life, and it was driving to Big Bear. His surfboard flew off the roof of the car, and he had waited so long for his parents to buy him the surfboard, and he didn't want to tell his dad about it, so he had to think of a good way to explain the situation. And we were sitting there laughing, like I mean, it was the hardest thing that he could think of at the time, and just the honesty he had in it and the way he told the story. I mean, that showed a lot, and he ended up being a great employee.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah, you don't get the cookie cutter answer always,
right.
But when it's a real answer, you can tell.
Right. Right. And that's one of the most difficult things is to hire people. Right. And you go through so much, and I talk to a lot of, big service companies and they're like, man, for every 10 people that we hire, there's one that's one great employee. Right. But man, we interview so many people and it can be frustrating. So,
yeah.
But anyways, hey, awesome. Guys, you know what? I think we need to we've been talking for 56 minutes, believe it or not. And I just looked up and went, holy cow, has it been 56 minutes already? So let's do, you know what? Let's not. So normally we take a word from our sponsors, but we're so in deep into the conversation and I want to jump into Nick. So you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We'll take the break later on towards the end of the podcast, because I think we're having a great conversation. So let's bring Nick into the fold here.
All
and
right.
So Nick is out in San Diego as well. So Nick, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So kind of around the similar to Aiden family company. My mom actually ran the company, so it's a little bit different there. Back in 1989, my dad had a business opportunity, purchased the route, came home. My mom's there with me, who's 2 years old at the time, and my brother, who's 3, and said, guess what? I bought a pool service company, and guess who gets to run it? You do. So that was the history of that. My dad was, accountant working with Scientific Atlanta. And so my mom was running the company by herself with zero pool experience in 1989. And at that time, we were a chlorine gas company. So
the good old days.
Crazy history of the chlorine gas. So we were part of the National Association of Gas Chlorinators, and somebody really needs to do a deep dive of the pool service history for the 90s, because that was like a really influential time of the industry. There's like big names, Q Hales, Kim Skinner, Doug Latta, all of those guys forming On Balance, doing, the studies on pool plaster and, the whole industry study that paired up with the National Plasters Council right in like 1999. That whole effect on like discoloration of the pools, calcium nodules, all of that stuff, and really doing that research. That's like a really big time for the pool service industry. It's like I still have an article on my computer I pull up all the time from pool industry news from 2003. It's like a January 2003 article. So it's just like the perfect article that describes, exactly what's happening with your pool plaster. Yeah, it's just really great. So we were actually Pool Chlor was the franchise that my dad had purchased one of the locations in San Diego, and so that was our history there. Obviously, after 2001, um, it was September 11. There was a big change in the industry, but I think there's only like a handful of gas chlorinators still left, but like right at that time, because chlorine gas was extremely dangerous.
Yeah. Chlorine gas for my dad in the
So,
hospital one
yeah.
time. Mhm.
So we had these massive gas tanks at our yard in San Diego where, you'd have to go to everywhere around that neighborhood, libraries, schools, and do all these postings saying, hey, there's a massive gas chlorine tank in your neighborhood. And if that thing goes off, the entire neighborhood is gone. So it was pretty wild stuff there back then. But I jumped in when I was in high school. I had a truck. I worked after school and did like a full service route there. And my mom was running the company. And I never really thought I wasn't going to be part of the future of the company. I was kind of always I was going to be working towards that step, taking over. It's just a really great company. I'm sure everybody who has a pool service company is just aware of like it's just you have that flexibility. You're outside. You get to work with all kinds of people. There's a lot of interesting personalities with the pool service industry.
You don't say.
Yeah. And I mean, the pool nation, everything that's going on now, back when I first started, there really wasn't that camaraderie of the industry. And I feel like everything is just sort of going so much better nowadays than it ever has in the past. And I just think it's really awesome to be a part of even just being here today. Um, but yeah, I got in around 2003 when I was 16. I had a truck, and we still have customers from 1990.
That's
There's
awesome.
one customer.
That's awesome.
There's a funny story. There's one person that my son is 5, and he was in kindergarten last year, and his teacher was so back in 1990, one of our original customers, a couple moved into a house, had children, they had a daughter. That daughter grew up, and she was my son's kindergarten teacher
Oh, wow.
last year.
That's crazy.
That's how long we've had that customer. 30 something years. She's 35. She was my son's kindergarten teacher. I recognized her name. I said, I recognize it as, very, very unique. And so then we were talking about it, and I found out that her mom was our customer. um, yeah, one of our original customers there. So that's kind of where our specialty is keeping these customers for a very, very long time, where they've known me since I was 16 years old, or even longer than that. So, yeah, that's kind of our history there. And then you've met Ray as well. I met him in college, and he started working with us. And yeah, after a few years, he wanted more money. We said no. So he started his own pool service company, and we gave him a loan. He got a truck on his own. He still worked for us, but then he was doing some side routes, and so as he was growing, he was working 2 days a week, 3 days a week, so he was taking more days off, and he was getting his chemicals from us and using our facility, and so we were just really helping him grow on his own. Then eventually he went off, and then about 5 years ago we decided to repartner, purchased out my parents, and now the two of us are running the company.
That is awesome.
That's a
Yeah.
like there's a lot of like things going on there.
Yeah.
But I guess I want to ask you first, like, kind of the opposite of Aiden's story of not wanting to be involved in the business at all when he was a kid. Why do you think you were always attracted to it? I mean, it happens, but I would say for all of the people I talk to, it's not probably the norm, honestly.
Well, I get to stay in San Diego. So
True.
That, and then just the freedom my mom was able to have. She was working from home in the office. She's an interesting person. She's 5 foot tall, 100 pounds, and she's just wrangling all these grown men there. I mean, from the 90s, just trying to keep track of all these, degenerates. So, but yeah, it's just the freedom that she was able to have by running the company on her own. It was just always really attractive, being able to kind of do that for myself as well. We've definitely made huge improvements on the company because she kind of found her niche and she was comfortable where she was. She didn't want to take on too many things. We just had our service routes and it was just very specialized and she just ran it so well. But now Ray and I are partnered and we're growing, taking a lot more projects on. So that's kind of our history there. Right now we have about 1,300 accounts, a little over. I think Ray has the exact
1,309 to be exact. And after the startup that you guys were doing this week, it was going to be 1,310. So, which by the way, I was impressed, Megan, because normally you ask people, and people would even ask me, oh, like 246-ish, and he's like 1,309. It's like, boom.
Yeah, that's someone who watches the books.
Right.
Well, so it's pretty unusual for an employee. Okay, so he asked for more money. You said no, but then you helped him start his own business to like kind of compete against you. I mean, like that is also very unusual. That is not how that usually goes. It's usually like, give me more money. No. Okay, well, I'm mad and I'm going to leave. And you're gonna have to fight me now for everything, right? Like that's usually how that goes. This is very unusual.
Yeah. Someone that plays the long
it wasn't
game.
So much that it was
right? He knew, right?
There's only so much you can do. Yeah. So I mean, I'm sure you're aware, Aiden, there's only like so much you can do with pools until how many repair people do you need? How many service guys do you need? So there really wasn't like a next step to go for him. So it really wasn't like, hey, I want to pay you more. We pay our guys very well. Everybody's really surprised whenever they hear our compensation, but because we really want to take care of our employees. That's such a big thing. That goes back to even a guy said he called me after he left a customer's house and he told me the interaction that was there, and he said he felt so uncomfortable, and I immediately called that customer. I said, that's it. You're done. We're not going to do your pool anymore. My route technician, my employees, they are the most important to me. So that's we really take care of them. But yeah, I mean, I don't really see other people, and we've trained plenty of people that have gone on to have their own companies now, and I don't really see them as competition. It's just because I know they do a really great job. And that even with Aiden, we both work in the same city, but I don't think we're a competition because he's running a really great company, and that we need to improve that. We're just trying to get rid of the bottom end of the pool service industry and elevate everybody. So Aiden doing really well is, beneficial for everybody. And so same with Ray. If we can have somebody out there who's doing a really good job, if they want to go off on their own, and I want that. I want everybody to have a career in the industry. I don't want this just to be a job for them. I want them to be able to, make a living. I want them to be able to succeed, grow, so not really competition.
Well, I mean, like, you cannot take care of every single pool in San Diego. Like, it's just not possible.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe someone has aspirations to grow their company that big, but and to have like a symbiotic relationship with other people in the industry where it's like, hey, I can't take care of this customer, but I feel comfortable. I know I can give them to you and you will still provide the level of service that like doesn't reflect back poorly on me as, giving them as a referral. I mean, that's golden, because
Exactly.
it's so rare that you can do that. And so you're kind of in a way, you're sort of building your own referral network, right? Where it's like, I know that these guys can take on this work and we don't end up getting a black eye.
Exactly. Like the last week, I had a commercial lead, and it was downtown San Diego, and I couldn't take it on. I text last year's Pool Man of the Year, Dustin Anderson. I said, Dustin, here's all this person's information. Would you be able to take them on? He said, yeah, I could take them on. So I let that person know, hey, you're going to get a call from Dustin. Really great. He'll be able to take care of you. Javier too. We also refer out some commercials to him. Really great person, Javier Payan.
Great guy.
Yeah. So we build sort of a network there, and if we can't take them on, I want another really great person to take them on.
That's awesome.
So yeah. So we're not competition. I mean, they're right in my neighborhood, Javier, but I will send things their way because I know they're going to be taken care
It's
of.
one of my favorite parts about the industry as well. I mean, I was on the phone with Dustin last week. Javier was kind of a mentor to me early in my career. Same sort of thing. If they're not in our area or someone that's not like a commercial, for example, Dustin's my go-to half the time because he's up in our area.
Yeah.
But just I've never said no to a new lead without providing them with a number or two that they could call.
Yeah.
Which is good.
To me, it's so important. And I hate using the word networking, right? Because people think networking is going to this event where you know nobody and you got to get into the room and get out of your comfort zone and just like meet people. But I think one of the best things that a pool owner, whether it's service or a company, that could do is really get out to a lot of these different events and network with these people, right? And again, I'm going to emphasize, I hate to use the word network. I'm going to come up with my own word for that. But
we do need a better word. You're right.
Right. But you go there and you're creating the relationships that we're talking about today, right? We're talking about creating, whether it's a mentor or a work relationship, right? That you're going to, that you have a certain standard, Nick. And if you want to keep the industry elevated and you can't service that, you want to go to that number 2 source, right? You don't want to just, pick up the internet and kind of go through Yelp and throw somebody, right? You want to. And so when you go to these events, right? And whether it's education or the awards or whatever it is, right? You start to create that network with those people. And there's so much value in it that I keep telling people, you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to go. A lot of times you're going to meet somebody that you have a problem in your business and be like, man, I met Aiden and I met Nick, right? They're both bigger companies. They've both gone through it. Either I'm going to reinvent the wheel and try to figure it out, or I'm going to call Nick and solve my issue within 2 minutes, right? And Nick is going to go, here's what we tried. Here's what we didn't work. Here's what we tried. Here's what worked. And be like, boom, there's the answer to it, right? And that automatically puts you 2 steps ahead in business, right? So there's a huge value to doing that. And, like Aiden's created a huge network. And Aiden, man, I don't know how you find the time to do everything that you do with all the different IPSA chapters and president and this and that. But creating that and doing those things just allows you to be able to skip a couple steps in business and have those sources.
Yeah, I tell all of my new clients about bidding a pool, if I don't have the answer, I've got 30 people on speed dial that will. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, but I come across things weekly, every day that I still don't know, haven't seen before. And I have people that are 30 years older than I am that I could call and get answers from. And it's comforting for the clients. I mean, it's confidence that if I can't do it, I know someone that will come in and help me do it, basically. And just.
Yeah, 21 years of doing this, you still come across things that are like, all right, I've never seen that before. All right. People do some weird stuff in their backyards. The do-it-yourselfers there.
It's really community building, right? And that's the thing that's that's the thing that's really cool in the San Diego pool service market is, you guys have really built an amazing community down there of, guys who just like you guys, just really have each other's back, and it's not, it's unusual for one, and I just think it's really cool that some of those guys that came before you, like the Javiers of this world, have gone out of their way to kind of foster that and make that a thing. And it's I think it's grown the industry and it's kept people in the industry, and I think it can only improve from there. But I think too, like, you don't necessarily have to like join a group even, I think, to do that. I think you just be friendly to the people you bump into at the distributor. I mean, you don't have to, sometimes I feel like, I mean, the groups are great. I'm not saying don't do that, because absolutely you should do that. But, it's like, it's even just, talking to the guys you're in line with, like just be open to having those conversations and stop, feeling the competition, because there's just, it's in your own mind,
And it's if you look at our industry is just a great industry. Like, what industry do you have, right? Where you have somebody that you need help with, and they'll take their shirt off their back. They're your competition. They'll take their shirt off your back, go help you do something, right? And whether it's a repair or teach you how to do something, and you're like, hey, let me pay you for that. And they're like, no, don't worry about it. Like, I got you. Like, don't worry about it. At some point, maybe I'll need a favor, or like, what industry does that? I mean, it's ridiculous. And I keep talking about it. Our industry is just such a great industry because there is that, ability to create those relationships, and everybody to kind of go, there's enough pie to go around for everybody, and I'm going to help you. Right. And that just doesn't happen in a lot of industries. It's just all cutthroat out there.
Yeah.
The only way to grow the industry as a whole is by helping each other. I mean, teaching people the right way to do things is, if you don't, it's never going to get better.
Yeah.
I mean, you're all technically competition, but there's so much pie to go around, and it's ever increasing in this area for sure.
Yeah.
I always try to say our competition is really the homeowners that are doing it themselves, or trying to cut corners, or trying to get with the bottom dollar people. Those are our competition. So we're all out there elevating the industry, so our success is better for each other, because we're trying to elevate the industry.
Yeah.
So
I do have one question for you, Nick. So obviously you first were working with your parents, right? And kind of parents and children working is a little bit different. So you have that relationship where you're kind of running the company with your mom, and then all of a sudden you buy them out, which is great. And they retire. And then all of a sudden Ray comes into the picture, right? How was that transition? And then what do you guys both have that you guys feed off of each other to run your company so well? Because it's not the same working with family than kind of all of a sudden a partner.
Well, I trained Ray, so so everything he knows, I'm more experienced, and But our personalities are we're best friends. We're pretty much just brothers. That's how we treat each other. People see our relationship with each other, and they're like, "You guys are friends?" Like, we're like that close. We just we're basically brothers. He is an extrovert. He's out there. He's talking to all of our vendors every single day, just reaching out to people. I don't know how many times he calls Javier all the time. Or, um, the other, I think a week or two ago, we had a lot of people over to his house. I like to barbecue, so I made a giant smoked prime rib, and we had Hayward Waterways, Omar from Aquastar came down, and we had a big poker night. So that was really fun. But Ray's the one who plans all that. Ray really loves hanging out with our vendors and doing all that kind of fun stuff. I I try to give him a hard time, like, hey, you can't just schedule lunches all the time. You actually have to work. I'm the one who, I'm in the office. I like to see all the data. We track everything. I mean, we've been doing this way before all of the the systems like Skimmer and all those programs. And we are really nerdy with the things that we do on the computer and how we track everything. We're doing things like, you know, I don't know if this is a real thing, but we track like revenue per route, like what are the guys doing out there, the time, the spreadsheets that we have, the formulas, and all the data that we can see, like timing, um, what are the guys doing on their routes, how long it takes, what's the revenue, what's the cost on those. Um, just kind of getting all that data, seeing what's happening. That's just how we can be so efficient at what we do. Everybody gets really surprised. We don't have anybody in the office except for me. I Out of our 1,300 customers, people can call me. As soon as they start talking, I know exactly who that person is and I know their history. Um, they'll say, I don't know if that's a good thing that you know who I am. Because I'm like, oh, hi, so and so. I mean, I just recognize their voice out of 1,300 customers. I just know who they are. I know their personality. I know how the conversation is going to go. I know their pool. Um, some people like to turn their pool off, filtration wise, and they get algae. And then it's a constant battle with them. And I know exactly how the conversation is going to go because we've had that conversation for the past 10 years. And it just constantly goes and goes. And they don't want their filter cleaned because, I just cleaned it 6 months ago.
6 months ago.
Right,
It's
right.
just kind of like I'm really good at being able to talk to those people. And um, we had from Superior, Philip, the branch manager, is making a delivery to us the other day, and I was on the phone because I was trying to say hi to him, and so I'm talking with the customer, and it's a 15-minute phone call, and after the phone call is done, he said, "Do you guys charge extra for therapy sessions?" Because I will talk and talk and talk with customers because I'm just catching up with them. Just 15-minute long phone call or 20-minute. Ray gives me a hard time. He says, "You got to get off the phone."
So Ray spends too much time at lunch, and you spend too much time.
Yeah, I spend too much time talking with people.
No.
Yeah, but we know them. They're family. Some customers, I was servicing their pool for 10 years straight. They knew me since I was in high school. It was since I went to college at San Diego State, and they followed me through college. And I got married, had a kid. They would check in with me every week, like, "Oh, how's your son doing?" They would give me, stuff to bring. They're like, "Oh, if you ever need a babysitter." So it's just checking in with them every week. And so that's kind of our dynamic is, Ray's really good at, communicating with employees. He calls people all the time. Um, as far as the employees go, they really like working with him. Um, and we're both really good at taking care of pools. I mean, I had one pool that I was servicing for such a long period of time. I think I could go into the backyard any given day and I know what the chemistry is. I was joking with the customer. I'm like, I probably can go the whole year without needing to test your pool because I know exactly what it
Yeah.
is. I just know what it is. Um, Earlier this week, this lady had it was a new customer we started up on. She called Tuesday. She's been battling algae with her pool all summer. Her pool guy just couldn't get rid of it, and she runs an Airbnb. And she said, "I've got renters coming in tomorrow. What can you do?" And I love problems. I love to be able to solve problems. So I said, "All right, I got you. I'll take care of it." And went out there Tuesday, treated the water, and then I said I'll come back the next day. Next day, it's almost entirely clean the filter, manage the chemistry. It was spot on. I think the chlorine after everything I added, it dialed right into a perfect 4. And I'm like, wow, that was great.
Hey, did you send us that green to
Chemistry is
clean to be one of
spot
our green to
There
clean?
you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you
got to
Yeah.
take a picture of that one.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, the other thing we do is just tons of equipment installs, a lot of repairs. We've been doing it for such a long time before variable speed pumps existed, or or that are actually really common with pools. And so it's you know pretty different nowadays. The training takes a long time for new employees compared. we would be like 2 weeks and send somebody on their own back 20 years
Yeah.
ago. It's just like, all right, here's some, basic chemistry, and
And you're good.
just get out there. You're good. But now, yeah, with all the automation systems and valves, water features, we're training guys for
Been
9
IT
weeks
guy as well.
minimum.
Yeah, right.
Cleaning pools, electrician,
Yeah.
and IT guy. You got to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
You got to do it all.
Yeah. So we're 9 weeks minimum training. All of our technicians we have them do CPO certification. And then a new thing that we are joining is the pool and spa apprenticeship
Nice.
training committee with Javier and Ken Howard, Rick English. That is huge. We're going to be signing up all of our technicians to be apprentices. So it's a 2,000-hour program. So after a certain period of time of an employee working with us, we'll do, which, by the way, everybody sign up for that. That's a great
absolutely.
way to,
And
have
I'm gonna give we
employees.
talked about the apprenticeship program in our last issue of the magazine too. So just a little plug too, if you want more information. We've got a pretty long article in there about that. So
yeah, and that's important. So we want all of our employees to do that. So we'll feed them through the whole program there, and just making sure they're experts at what they do.
Awesome.
You'll be there for dinner on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
I'll see you there.
Yep, we'll see you there.
Right. Awesome. Hey guys, Megan, do you have any other questions?
I don't think so. I mean, but it's been fun to get to know you guys and to learn more about your stories, things that we didn't get, a lot more color than what we get when you just write in your entries. So.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Nick, you're going, Jay's going. I mean, Ray's going. Yep.
Ray.
That's awesome.
Yep. I'm signing up for one of the classes, or one of the conference classes. I forget which one it is.
Oh,
I think
awesome.
it's the hands-on.
Awesome. We'll be doing about 2 of those. Shoot, I could put you to train one of those classes. Yeah. There you go.
Exactly. I'm like, a lot of the stuff already
let's volunteer, Megan. He shows up and we're like,
I
I got your new trainer right here, Nick.
You're right here.
There you go. So, hey guys, let's do this. Let's take a word from our sponsors. When we come back, Megan, you're my go-to for final thoughts.
All right, great. Well, and I think we should give the lowdown on Jake, since he couldn't make it today. I'll pretend to be Jake and I'll tell you all about him.
Sounds good. So let's take a quick word. I can't speak. Let's take a quick word from our sponsors. When we come back, we'll hear about Jake and get some final thoughts.
The Hyper Pole from Ultimate Pool Tools is a pool care pole designed by pool professionals for pool professionals, featuring precision crafted carbon fiber and stainless steel construction. Go to ultimatepooltools.com or Instagram at Ultimate Pool Tools. Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add reoccurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day. Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos-Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. We're talking to Nick, we're talking to Aiden, and Megan is pretty much hosting today. I'm just kind of sitting in the back corner over here, kind of enjoying the conversation, but we are talking to the nominees of the 30 under 40 male of the year. So excited to kind of get their stories. And Megan, before we continue, it's kind of neat to see it evolve, huh?
Oh yeah, it's been wild. So I put all of my 30 under 40s from previous years back up behind me, and yeah, it's that very first year that we did it. I was really nervous that we weren't going to get enough. We weren't going to get 30 people to do it. We did. We had more than 30. We had plenty of people to choose from. But yeah, every year it's grown and grown, and we get more and more people. And you know what? Something I didn't get to mention when he was on earlier, but James actually, this was his second year that he entered. So he didn't make the list last year, and he did this year. And I just I just don't want people to get discouraged if they don't get chosen one year, because there's so many factors that go into coming up with that final list. And most of them probably have nothing to do with you as a person, right? That's everybody who has entered is more than deserving. And so if you don't make the list one year, please don't get discouraged, go, get nominated again the next year and do it again. Because yeah, like I said, there's a lot of reasons and a lot of factors that go into coming up with the final list. We want to make sure that, a broad swath of the industry is represented. And so, it's just trying to find a balance sometimes, and not necessarily this person is more deserving than the other. That's almost never what it comes down to ever. So yeah, just stick with it, do it again. I wish I could also show you the entries from these guys. They wrote novels, which is fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yes. They sent us so much information. And I think sometimes people don't realize that's how you get chosen, is on the information that you send in. So if you don't send us any information, or, very little information, it's just hard for us to know, anything about you. And so that was something that these guys did a great job of, is that they took the time, which it does take some time. They went through the process and gave it some real thought. And I just something I really appreciated about all of them. So, but yeah, it's really fun. It's a ton of work. It grows every year. And yeah, just nominations open again in May. So
Isn't that crazy?
we'll be rolling around and doing it again next year.
Yeah, and it's really difficult. So obviously for everybody that's listening, Megan, we reached out to Megan the first year and we said, hey, we have this idea, and will you partner with us, right? And being realistic, Pool Nation had no name at that stage, right? Like nobody knew who we were. Nobody was answering the phone. Nobody was kind of wanting to partner. Everybody was in their own silos, right? And so we kind of reached out to Megan and said, hey, we have this idea. We're going to kind of do these awards, and we would love to partner with you and do these 30 under 40s awards. And she was like, absolutely, let's do it. And so a huge thank you to you, because, not a lot of people believed in us back then. And you just kind of came in and you're like, let's do it. And so now I sit back and I kind of watch the journey from, us, the same thing. I think the first year we had, 54 nominees. Something like only 3 pool guys were nominated the first year. We had over 36 nominees this year. And it was the first time that we actually had to sit there and go, man, not everybody can make the list. And I kid you not, I lost sleep a couple nights because there's so many other people that still deserve to be on that list. But you can't just sit up there and read 40 names, right? Here's 40 nominees that are, and normally we only do 8 per categories, and almost every one of our categories has 12 this year, because we just couldn't, kind of cut that back. So I agree with you 100%. For everybody that was nominated for a Pool Nation award, if you didn't get nominated, do it again, submit it. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, really send a lot of information on the people, that helps that process. But anyways, Megan, it's been great to see it, kind of grow, and to see the 30 under 40 and to see the Pool Nation awards grow and the nominees. And I'm going to go back to the same thing that I did when I talked about it on the nomination night. You get people that go, oh, well, what's the big deal of winning an award? Like, what's the big deal of getting a 30 under 40? What's the big deal of getting a Pool Nation award, right? And it has nothing to do with winning the award itself, but it's, you have somebody that has taken the time to nominate somebody else. And the great story like James, that all these customers are reaching out, and what you're doing is you're making an impact on that person's life, because you're telling them that what they do matters, right? That their drive matters. And so, yes, it's great to win an award, but it's also amazing to be nominated, because somebody's telling you, hey, Nick, you matter, right? What you do as a company impacts our industry, and we're going to nominate you. Aiden, I mean, look at you, Aiden, for God's sakes. Like, you got almost every award in that back wall, but you've worked hard for it. You know what I mean? And it feels good to know that you're making an impact. So to everybody that's nominated out there, congratulations. And so anyways, that was my little rant. Aiden, I do have to ask you, because I don't think I've ever asked anybody this before, but what did it feel like to win Pool Guy of the Year?
As you could probably tell by the length of my speech, I was a little surprised, but it felt great. I mean, it was awesome being out there with the family. My dad was out there. Brianna was out there with her family. It was great having a crew behind us, and just hearing my name get called and the cheers that followed. It felt good, definitely. I mean, it was unexpected, but very humbled by it. Plan to follow it up a little bit better this year as I present to next year's Pool Guy of the Year. But
yeah,
just the recognition in front of that group of people was great.
Absolutely.
I mean, Javier being in the crowd, Ken being there. I mean, Ken I talk to Ken, I don't know how many times a week, but just having that many people, that many mentors, and just colleagues that I know from here, and then people nationwide all there. It felt great.
Yeah, I think your picture is probably, and you can tell that I use it on like everything, right? But he's walking off stage and he's got that award, and you can just see the excitement, right? And it was that aha moment of excitement. So I use that picture over and over again with all the collateral, Megan.
Oh, and,
People,
yeah, I know
people are
exactly
probably
what
like,
you're talking
really
about.
that one again?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I don't
you
know
do.
how
Hey,
to.
when you get those,
Yeah. And then you got,
I don't know how to make my screen not blurred in the back, but I've got it up
and look at that.
wherever.
That's
I
awesome.
don't know why it's all blurred there.
Yep, there you go. And then you got the poll back there. So Ken normally creates the polls for Pool Guy of the Year, the
That
ultimate
one,
poll.
like I said, I don't know why it's all blurry, but I've got my 2023 Pool Guy of the Year poll up on the wall too.
Oh yes, that's
It's
right.
up high. This is a new one I'm testing out for him right now.
Nice. Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
Megan, I'm going to let you take over because
All right.
there's still somebody that we need to talk about.
yeah, that's right. Let's talk about Jake.
Yes.
So Jake couldn't be here. But Jake owns Jake's Pool Care in Florida. So like many people in the industry, he started working for a family's pool company after college. And then he had an aptitude for it and he loved it. And they agreed, sort of like Nick and Ray, that it was time for him to go on and do his own thing. So he started his own company. So the way that, I mean, like San Diego, Florida is a pretty competitive pool market, pretty competitive pool service market. And so what he does to differentiate himself is he partners with a bunch of local builders and he does all of their startups for them. So in addition to his regular weekly service, that's kind of what he has hangs his hat on is doing startups, which I didn't know this. But did you know that sometimes you can't find someone to do your startup because people are so afraid of doing them, like they don't want to touch it? I didn't know that until I knew someone who was building a pool, and they're like, I can't find someone to come start up my pool. And I'm like, that is wild. So anyway,
Zach won't do startups. Zach won't do startups. John will not do startups unless they're his own pools. Like there's a lot of people that just don't touch them.
I mean, I understand all of the reasons why. But yeah, again, we need that education. I need people who will be brave. So right. Jake is one of those people. He's brave. He'll do the startup.
That's a great way. It is a great way though, especially when you're growing. It's a great way to be able to get a lot of leads, right? And you partner with 4 or 5 different builders, and you're golden because you'll get each one of those.
Yeah. So he has.
You have to trust the builder.
This is the thing. Yeah. So he works with 3. Yeah. He works with 3 specific builders, and he does about 600 startups a year for them.
How many?
To 600.
Wow.
Holy! How do you do 600 startups a year?
I don't know, man. I don't know, but yeah, about 600 startups, and then they've got about 300 weekly clients. So Jake's busy. Awesome. But yeah, that's really cool. That's probably why he couldn't be here today. Is he's got too many startups to do today.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. No. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is a lot of startups, guys. Aiden, you do 600 a year?
I do not.
Aiden's like, no.
I do not.
Yeah.
He's like, I won't touch him either.
Man, I almost feel like you have to have a, create its own separate business model for startups.
For sure.
Right? Because it's like it takes so much time, and it's not like you can just throw it into your weekly schedule. It's like you kind of have to have a workflow set up and ready to go for that, so that it's not a huge encumbrance to the rest of your business.
That's like 50 startups a month if you were to divide it. And they're not all done evenly 50 every month, but that'd be like 50 every month. That's great. You have to have a crew.
Yeah, I don't think Jake is doing this by himself.
Yeah, that's crazy. No, but that's awesome though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's all the information I have for you on Jake. So I wish he could have joined us today.
You've been here. It's all good.
Yeah.
So Megan, final thoughts. See, I have to do the normal kind of pause because Nick and Aiden, unless I actually say Zach, final thoughts, they'll just sit there and they'll just be like.
And that was what I was planning. That was what I was planning on doing. I was going to make you talk next.
Yeah, we play this chicken game with Zach and John, but they'll sit there for 2 minutes quiet, which then becomes awkward on a podcast to be quiet for 2 minutes. So, Megan, final thoughts.
Well, final thoughts. Okay, so I haven't mentioned. I mean, our new issue that came out in September with the Pool Nation guys on the cover. So I have to say, like, we don't normally do like studio photo shoots for the magazine. A lot of what we do is like we go out and shoot people on location, right? We shoot people at work doing their thing. And so this was a little bit of a stretch for us. And so but it was really fun. And you guys were totally game for doing it. I'm not sure John was totally game, but he did it. And everyone got over their like discomfort, and it just turned out great. It was really fun. It was something different for us to do. It's fun to give your employees like new things to do, right? Like, so Brittany is our art director. She's fantastic at what she does. But she's been doing it for a while. And so it's great to be able to say, hey, here is a completely outside of the box thing we've never done before. Go figure it out. And of course, she does a fantastic job and knocks it out of the park. And and it was a fun one for us. So yeah, thanks for being game for that.
Anytime.
Yeah, that's one final thought.
And then it's funny, Megan, because you've come to us and you're like, hey, you guys willing to do? And normally we're game. We're like, yeah, sure, whatever. I have to tell you that I was a little bit out of my comfort zone. I'm pretty game for a lot of things.
Yeah.
I was a little bit out of my comfort zone.
I mean, it's pretty weird to be like laying on the floor or surrounded by pool products and like have a drone flying over your head, and you're like, pretend like you're typing on a computer or doing this. And yeah, it took your like, it wasn't just like a smile for the camera kind of situation. So
yeah. But it was great. And it was, guys, we were in a studio and they're flying a drone inside the studio, and it was fun. It was fun for sure.
Yeah, it was really cool. But yeah, the next couple of months are going to be insanely busy. I am excited to see everybody at the show, at all of the Pool Nation events. Make sure you get those tickets and show up and come to the after party. We're actually doing some events at this show that we haven't done before. We're doing like a sales training seminar, and we're doing a succession planning workshop. We're handing out Hot Tub Hall of Fame awards at the PHTA Awards of Excellence. So
nice.
The 11th is going to be a very busy day for us. But yeah, check some of those things out before you come to the sales training, before you go to the Heritage Training Day or the Heritage Pool Appreciation Day. They don't overlap. So yeah, we're there is a lot going on. All of that stuff keeps growing and keep adding to it. Like your stuff going from like 1 day to 2 days to 3 days now. So there's a lot going on. Just come, get involved, check it out, meet people, build that community of people that you can reach out to.
Absolutely. Everybody come out and meet Nick, meet Aiden, and you'll be able to kind of come out there and network with them. And hey, if you have business questions, these are the guys that you need to be talking to, right? They've been in the industry. They've been through the ups and downs, the good times, the bad times, right? They've kind of been through it. They'll be able to help you. And as we normally always say, make your journey a little bit shorter, right? By creating that community and that network, that mentor type of relationship. So if you're thinking about it and you're titter-tottering whether you should or not, just know, look, you can come out and meet Nick. You can meet Aiden. They were on the podcast. I'll be able to talk to you and some great stories. Also talk to Megan, right, Megan?
That's right.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, Aiden, Nick, thank you so much for jumping on, for staying on. We really appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you both. Looking forward to meeting you, Nick and Ray, over in Dallas. So looking forward to that. Aiden, looking forward to seeing you again. I'm sure Aiden's going, let's go 2 in a row, right? Let's take the other one, right?
I finally figured out how to turn off the focus. Now you can see it. That would be great, but looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. So
definitely.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. So stay tuned. Catch us live on Wednesday, because Wednesday we actually, what do we do? Are we doing something with you on Wednesday, Megan? No, that's the week after that, I believe, right?
Yes.
The week after
I believe so. Yes.
We'll have the women.
We'll have the women on in a couple of weeks.
The women on a couple of weeks on the Instagram Live. So excited about that. So anyways, everybody, hope you have a great weekend. We will catch you guys next Wednesday. Have a great one. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Pool Nation podcast, a member of the Pool Nation family. You can listen to us live every Friday here at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. You can find us at Pool Nation or poolnationpodcast.com, on Facebook, or on Instagram at pool.nation. And to find more info about Pool Invoice, the billing software built specifically for the pool industry, go to poolinvoice.com. Before you go, this is what the pool industry has been waiting for. PoolmanUniversity.com. It's the first platform dedicated to learning the swimming pool service and repair industry. A pool service community where you can connect and find videos on business, service, water chemistry, and repairs. See you there at